Paul Conway, I was disappointed that Andy Posda has to drop out because I knew exactly what he was saying on the $15 an hour minimum wage and on the overtime rule. The man was against them both, and I think that's very much for America. Now, we've got a new guy coming in, or being nominated, Alexander Acosta. I don't know whether you know anything about him.
I do.
But you do? Okay, tell me about
Sure.
it. Is he like Posda or not?
Well, let me tell you this. So for a labor secretary nominee, philosophically, he was a clerk to Samuel Alito. He's very favorable to business and free market. He was named as one of the top 50 influential Hispanic Americans by Hispanic Business Magazine twice. But most importantly here, I think you're looking at somebody that can take policy and translate it into the operations of a government and through the Department of Labor. There are 3 cabinet secretaries that are the flying wedge or the trident of the president's economic policy. It's the Treasury Secretary, the Commerce Secretary, and the Labor Secretary. With Acosta, what you have is somebody who knows his role on the team and knows that his job is to advance the president as much as it is the department. But really, on behalf of employers in America, I think you're going to see somebody that knows how to look at a regulation, deregulate, look at law, how to implement it, and most importantly, how to create opportunity, which the president has pledged to do.
But to get this man in as Labor Secretary, you've got to convince all Republicans in the Senate to vote for him. It was wobbly Republicans in the Senate who upset. Basically, that's why Andy Posda is not going to be the Labor Secretary. Do you think that the Republicans can hold their discipline if Mr. Acosta is very much like Andy Posda?
I think it's a two-way street here. What you have to do is you have to make certain that the White House legislative team is on the game. They're talking to people like Tim Scott, Susan Collins, and others up there, and translating his history into what it means for opportunity for people in their states and removing anything that could be a potential fear factor for them and for their constituencies. And that's the job of the White House legislative staff. The job up on the Hill is, with the Republican caucus, is to make certain that they're taking a look at this person and seeing whether or not they're going to have good relations with the Hill. There's going to be a sensitivity for those things in the oversight committees. And I think with Acosta, what you're going to see is somebody who understands fundamentally how Congress and oversight works, but just as importantly, how law and expectations of lawmakers is translated into policy. And I think you'll find him very sensitive to that and a very, very good, solid nominee.
Paul, just in general, as a conservative, and I think I'd describe you as a conservative.
Sure.
How do you think things are going? I mean, you live in D.C., you're surrounded by this political maelstrom. What do you think? How are things going? Some of us are in despair.
Well, I tell you what, we're less than 30 days in, and I think it's important to understand that the president has just a nucleus of his team in place. Same thing at the cabinet level. What they're getting is basically a battleship, or several of them, parked offshore, all turrets firing all the time. In that environment, I think it's fundamentally important every single day for somebody that goes into the White House to understand, what am I doing today to advance the president's commitment to the people out there in America who elected him, and what am I doing to minimize or exacerbate, not exacerbate, the negative narrative that others are putting forward. If you were to take 3 images and tape them to your desk as a White House staff person, this is what I would do. A picture of 9/11, the Twin Towers, and say, that will never happen again. A picture of the unemployment lines and say, this is a large reason why I'm here, is to fix this by creating opportunity. And the other thing, of course, I'd have is a picture of the United States Constitution in one in my pocket to say, this is what I swore to, and this is what I will defend.
All right, Paul, thank you very much. I'm sorry I used the word despair going into that last question. I'm not
always
in despair.
an optimist.
No, I'm a little worried, that's all. I've got some concern. I'm certainly not in despair and shouldn't have said it. Paul Conway, thanks very much, sir. Appreciate you being with us.